JT Batson, CEO of US Soccer. Thanks for being here with us today.
Great to be with you.
So you took over the role in 2022. I want to go through kind of your turnaround in the organization. Walk me through kind of how things were when you got there and kind of where we are at today.
So I joined US Soccer in 2022, and it was an organization that had a lot of great people who believed that soccer is a growth sport in this country, who believed that getting millions more people to go play soccer and having our teams win was something that was a life's calling. We had some real work to do. We were losing a lot of money. We had a lot to do to figure out where we wanted to go and who we wanted to be when we grew up. And so we spent a lot of time working with all of our stakeholders, owners of teams, people that represent youth soccer, adult soccer, college soccer, our sponsors, all sorts of folks. And we made a big bet on the future to reposition our organization as being in service to soccer. So we, this time last year, announced our in service to soccer strategy. That's been backed by pretty incredible growth from a commercial and philanthropic support standpoint, which has allowed us to invest in getting millions of more kids playing, hiring some of the best coaches in the world so our teams can go win, and making sure that everyone who loves soccer in America feels a part of US Soccer.
So financial year 26 forecasting revenues of approximately $306 million, up 16% year over year growth. I want you to break out kind of the business model for me here. Where are you driving that revenue? What does the pie look like, and how has that historically changed?
So US Soccer is year 3 into managing its own commercial rights. That has been a huge growth area for us. We have some of the best brands in the world: Nike, Volkswagen, Bank of America, Coca-Cola, Visa, and 22 great partners. We just announced CVS a few weeks ago. We also have media partners of Warner Brothers Discovery on the English language side, Telemundo on the Spanish language side. So in a lot of ways we look like a professional sports organization. We also have ticket sales, merch, but we also look like a college sports organization in that we have big philanthropic support. So folks like Arthur Blank, Michelle Kang, and others, Ken Griffin, who've been so generous with their philanthropy to help propel us forward from a soccer standpoint. So from a mix of revenue standpoint, probably 70% sort of traditional commercial revenue, 30% services and philanthropic support.
Why did you feel the need to bring those the commercial rights, commercial management in-house? I mean, effectively, I believe it was with Soccer United Marketing. Were they doing a bad job, or?
So Major League Soccer and Soccer United Marketing and US Soccer were great partners for a long time, and some did an incredible job of building the soccer business market in this country. Actually, in a few weeks, we have a Business of Soccer Summit we're doing with MLS and CONCACAF in Atlanta. And it's, if you look at the roster of people who are going to be there, it's a sign of how much our business side of soccer has matured. I think as we thought about our next chapter, telling the very unique story of US Soccer, we're a nonprofit, but we're also a national brand. We have millions of kids who play soccer under US Soccer, but we also have the men's and women's national teams, which, this summer, 100+ million Americans are going to watch. And so the ability to tell our own story and partner with great brands who not only sponsor us, but really partner with us. So Bank of America is working with us closely on the Soccer in Schools program. New York Life is partnering with us on a number of things around soccer accessibility. If you look across our partners, they're doing it for the impact, in addition to their ability to associate with a great brand.
Well, you mentioned the relationship with the professional sports leagues, and obviously MLS has been a key partner there. The USL has been kind of making moves as well. I'm wondering if you could speak to a little how you're continuing to kind of, even if it's not having the commercial rights managed, but working with these professional sports leagues, especially since MLS, valuations have continued to go up and up. USL is really trying to challenge them. More soccer is better.
Absolutely.
For everyone, I'm guessing. So.
For sure. I mean, so our goals are, we of course want to win. We want our men's and women's national teams to win. We want to make it to where soccer is the #1 played sport in every community. And we want to make sure that everyone in this country feels like US Soccer is theirs. There's no way we achieve any of those goals without the success of our professional leagues. So we need Major League Soccer, NWSL, and USL to be wildly successful on and off the field. Obviously, there's been incredible growth in professional soccer, infrastructure, teams, talent, the investment. It's really, really exciting. That's how we're going to win World Cups on the men's side. It's how we're going to continue to win World Cups on the women's side. And it's what's going to inspire the next generation of kids who want to play soccer all across the country.
Is there an irony that if we develop our infrastructure and win the World Cup one day, and I say we because I am from the U.S.
Love it.
That we have Lionel Messi to thank, that we owe him a thank you just for coming over and driving soccer interest here in the country?
Well, one of the great things about soccer is it's a global game, and people fall in love with it because of a team down the street or a team they now can play in the FIFA video game or that they can watch on television. And ultimately, though, when it comes time to the World Cup, you know who your team is, if any of you have ever watched the World Cup in person, the passion, the emotion, the drama, this is everything, national identity wrapped into one. There's something so special about that. So, any way that someone falls in love with the game, we're all about it because we know ultimately, everyone's going to rally around the flag and get excited for our team this summer.
Well, I want to pivot to World Cup 26 in a second, but before that, obviously we have two national teams. One has been wildly successful at World Cups and Olympics. The other, not so much. The women have been incredible, and obviously, kind of we're past the point of the fight for equal pay settlement. But how are you looking at balancing these two teams going forward? Where obviously the performance of the women's team has far outpaced the performance of the men's team.
I think what's exciting is we have two of the best coaches in the world. So obviously Emma Hayes, women's national team coach, and Mauricio Pochettino, men's national team coach. Their staffs are incredible. We have great player pools, and if you look at both the men and women's player pools, we've grown the number of players in the pool. They've gone younger, and so we have a great youth movement going on for both our men's and women's programs. But also the global soccer markets for women's and men's players is very different. On the women's side, we have way more of the top players in the world who are American and who play in our domestic leagues. On the men's side, it's very different. And so, how we think about our strategy to make sure that we have the number of great players we need to make sure we go win, it's going to be different. On the men's side, there are academies. On the women's side, there aren't academies yet. So the role of the youth national team programs, the role of youth clubs and college soccer is going to be different on the women's side than it is on the men's side. So while we're incredibly excited about the future of both of those programs, we also know the strategies around how we're going to be successful are different, and they're based on what our strengths are and also where we've got some room to improve.
You mentioned earlier about how the increased financial success of the Federation has allowed to make the sport more accessible for more people. I want to expand on that. How we are making youth soccer, again, saying we because I am part of the U.S., how we're making youth soccer more accessible for kids, how that will lead to more talent development and ultimately better pros and kind of more of a equalized game here.
Well, one of the key reasons we've been able to grow our commercial revenue and our philanthropic revenue the way we have is because our partners and our donors believe that supporting U.S. soccer means supporting more kids playing soccer, supporting disability national teams. So U.S. soccer supports more disability national teams than anyone else in the world. They are big believers in what we're doing to bring soccer into more communities, and so that financial success has allowed us to reinvest back in the game at levels we never had before. It's also allowed us to create the Soccer Forward Foundation, which is specifically around how do we get more fields built, how do we get more soccer in schools, how do you get more people in a position where they can coach kids of all backgrounds and communities all across the country. And so that continued revenue growth is what's enabling us to make soccer accessible for everyone who wants to play. Now, let's not kid ourselves, there's a lot of work to do. Soccer is not in every community. Soccer is still way too expensive for so many kids. There's too much travel involved. There's too much time commitment in a lot of instances. It's not in enough schools. It's not in enough local parks. But that's our opportunity. And so if you think about the growth of the sport that we've had over the last 10, 20, 30 years, we're now hitting critical mass. The other thing that's a big change is if you wander around the parties over the next couple of days and meet with the people that run the big companies who sponsor sports, they're soccer people now. A generation before that was not the case. If you go through our great partners, their CEO, their president, their CFO, their CMO, sometimes all of them are soccer people. They played in college, they played growing up, their kids play, some of them still play. And that is a huge part of the generational change of soccer in this country and what it means for our business and then what it means for our ability to invest in accessibility of our sport, but also producing great players because that requires resources as well.
World Cup 2026. We could probably spend maybe 4 or 5 hours talking about it. We're going to have to try to do it in a few minutes.
Sure.
But let's start with kind of broad expectations for how things are going to go. Sure, like outside of the actual U.S. team's performance, just curious kind of putting on this event, what goes into it, and kind of what we can get out of it.
Well, what's great about hosting a competition like this in the U.S. is we have the stadiums, we have the hotels, we have the airports, and so you're really able to focus on what's the impact you can drive.
Yeah.
You're not worried about, is the stadium going to be ready in time? They've been ready. And so that allows us to think through, how do we make sure this is an incredible experience for those who come, but also how do we make sure that this is a catalyst for the growth of our sport. And so we've been working very closely with the host cities. We've been working very closely with FIFA. That's what led to the launch of Soccer Forward, so some of the early funds from that, so that we're helping support the legacy projects and bringing soccer to life in more communities across the country. So for me, the fact that we've been able to focus exclusively on the impact and how do we make sure that every community in America feels like they're a part of this World Cup, that's been one of the great blessings of the infrastructure we have in this country, and I think will lead to an even bigger impact than we ever could have imagined.
Yeah, I mean, when you're thinking about timing too, obviously it's a very politically charged time in our history, and I'm wondering, sports has always been like a barrier breaker for this stuff, and there's a lot of political energy on both sides, and I'm wondering how kind of you guys are working with FIFA to make sure things go off without a hitch, tensions don't run high, and kind of we do what we're setting out to do, and that, put this game on display and let that be what it is.
Soccer is a force for good, and it brings people together.
Yeah.
And we have 130 million fans of soccer in this country. By virtue of that scale, you're going to have a lot of Republicans, you're going to have a lot of Democrats, you're going to have a lot of independents, and so we have great supporters on both sides of the aisle who want soccer in their communities, and they want us to win.
Yeah.
And so they've been incredibly supportive of the World Cup effort. They've also been incredibly supportive of getting more fields built in their community, of investing more in ways of supporting our teams of all backgrounds. And so that's really, really important as we think about the summer. And for those who've never experienced a World Cup, it is such a galvanizing force of bringing people together. Yeah. And so every community across this country is going to come together in a way that is just, it's going to be tough to describe. You just got to experience it, and it'll be very cool.
You mentioned, obviously bringing in great coaches, but I'm wondering, with the U.S. men, months away from playing, and with high expectations in this tournament, what kind of investments are you making to kind of give them the best opportunity for them to go as far as they possibly can in this tournament?
Well, starts with staffing. Obviously, we have a great head coach. We have a great staff. Maurizio and his staff have worked together for a long time, but they're also a full crew of U.S. men's national team staff who are supporting and fully integrated, and they're working really well together. Yeah. Investing a lot in high performance. We've been investing a lot in a penalty kick strategy. So many knockout games in World Cups go down to penalty kicks, and so there's been more than a year-long plan that is well underway to make sure that going into the tournament we're optimizing our chances for success there. We also, our base camp, investing a lot in making sure that the preparation for the World Cup, and then while the players are in the World Cup, we have a great environment, we have a great training facility, great recovery facility, and so we have nothing else to worry about other than going to play and ultimately going to win.
Yeah, and how much are you looking ahead to 27 for the next Women's World Cup? And obviously, down the road, being a host is a totally different thing. But are you prepping the same way, or is it kind of one take the precedent when the tournament is kind of?
We've already well underway on planning for 2027. Our women's national team travels to Brazil this summer to play some friendlies in Brazil as a part of the prep for that. A number of our staff have already been down to Brazil to look at base camps, to look at logistics, to make sure that we're well set up. We've also started planning our marketing efforts. We've been working with our marketing partners and media partners around that. And so we're well underway of 2027 planning. We've already started planning for the LA Olympics in 2028, men and women, of course, playing in that. And so, lots of planning, going into the future. And then, of course, we're bidding for the 2031 Women's World Cup.
Yes.
Which obviously, incredible support from communities all across the country around that. And so,
do you get any sleep, or how do you find the time to deal with it all?
Well, we have a 3-year-old and a 4-month-old at home, so the answer to that is definitely no sleep.
What else do we need to know about this next era of U.S. soccer as kind of we head into this, kind of sport-changing tournament this summer?
As someone who grew up playing soccer, and soccer was so much a part of my life, as it was for tens of millions of people. What I'm most excited about is the opportunity we have in front of us. Obviously, I wouldn't have joined U.S. Soccer if I didn't think we could do big things. I'm a bigger believer in the opportunity than I ever was. Of course, it's going to be a lot of work. Of course, it's not going to be easy. Yeah. But the way that people have come together and the way that people have really stepped up. And what I love is, at events like this and all over the country, people push us to dream bigger and to really go for it. And that sort of motivation is something that gets you up early, keeps you up late, and wants you to make people proud.
MetLife Stadium, a few months from now, are we going to see you on stage holding the trophy with a bunch of guys in blue jerseys, or?
Well, fortunately, in soccer, they have the players up there, and so you don't see suits like me.
You don't get to go down on the field?
We've got a really fun run. So the men play Belgium and Portugal in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz. Both of those games will sell out. Then we play Senegal and Charlotte in Germany and Chicago in May as our last games for the World Cup. Those will also be packed houses. And so, then we roll LA, Seattle, LA, and keep the party train rolling all the way to New York. And so the energy and the momentum that'll get behind this team is going to be pretty awesome. And so I'm excited for, a hell of a party in New York after everybody's celebrating this summer.
JT Batson, here's to raising that trophy in a few months.
Thank you very much.